Hello and welcome to the Marketing Foundations podcast, hosted by myself, Seth Van Dale, and my business partner and co-host, Nicholas Cormier. Today is episode 5 of Marketing Foundations. And in this episode, we really just wanted to explain some of the hardships that we've gone through as entrepreneurs and share what we learned from those. So maybe you, as an aspiring business owner, a current business owner, wherever you are at within your entrepreneurial journey, can maybe take some of the lessons that we've learned and maybe it will save you from some hardships. So Nicholas, what is on the agenda for today? What's the first question that you got?
So I guess the first thing that we should jump right into, I want to explain it kind of like this. We want to take you time traveling in this episode. So time traveling to 18-year-old versions of ourselves. So now we're fast forwarding 5 years. And so what I want to do is, that exact thing. I want to take you from what it looked like when we first started to 5 years later, what our perspective is now and how it changed over time and some of the trials and errors we went through. So I guess the first question that I'll ask you, Seth, is we'll both answer this question, but how did we get started? What inspired us to start our journey? So yeah, let's start with that one. How we got started.
So how we got started. And just to be we're going to be so raw and real, and I'm not going to hide anything within this. So what really got us started, personally, I can only speak for myself, and I'll explain how eventually joined up with Nick and how we created our first company. But it all came down to really our childhoods kind of pointed us in a direction of wanting to be free. I started this business, and I know, Nicholas, you're probably going to say the same thing. I co-founded this business, I should say, and started going down this entrepreneurial journey because I wanted to take control of my life. I didn't want to work for somebody else. I wanted to help people, and I wanted to be able to do it from anywhere. Those were the three main things. I wanted to have financial and location freedom, as well as helping people. And digital marketing was a great avenue when it came to, achieving those three things. And so it really started, when was this? This would have been 2017, well, maybe even earlier for myself. It would have been 2016 for myself. I started getting into marketing. And this was before me and Nick had the idea of starting a company. But at that point, I was like, I need to make some bank. I need to start making some money online. All I had was a computer and a bunch of time. And so what I did was I bought a course on how to drop ship. And, it's big. It was a big thing back then. All these people selling courses for way too much money. And I got suckered into it. And so I bought this course, learned how to drop ship. It taught me how to build Shopify websites and do Facebook advertising. The key thing was the Facebook advertising. I got really interested in that, got really good at that. And then I took a break from it and, fell into some hardships personally. And then eventually when me and Nick were just getting out of high school, he had been kind of traveling. He'd been traveling Southeast Asia. And when he got back, where he was like, dude, we got to start a business. Let's get a bunch of young guys together and let's put our heads together and start something. And I was like, absolutely. I'm so down to do that. And so what we did was we would wake up. We had 6 guys to start. And I'm not going to name drop, but none of them are with us anymore except for one. And we started waking up at 3:30 every single morning. Before all of us went to our day jobs. I was working construction. I was doing concrete at the time. Nick was doing steel buildings at the time. And we'd wake up at 3:30 every single morning and we would learn for an hour to 2 hours every single morning, learning and just trying to better ourselves. We had no direction. We didn't know really what we wanted to do other than it was going to kind of be within the marketing sphere. And we were all trying to learn different skills, the 6 of us. Learned really quickly that the other guys were not as into it as me and Nick were. And so they started dropping off like flies. And after a year and a half of doing this, we were getting very little sleep. We'd go to sleep at 8:30, 8:30 at night. We'd wake up 3:30. We'd work for a couple hours. Then me and Nick would go to the gym together every morning at 5:30. We'd eat a bunch of McDonald's every morning, and then we'd go to our day jobs.
Every day.
And every
I've
day.
never been more jacked. We woke up at
Oh,
3:30.
we were so
We
jacked.
learned for a few hours. We went to the gym every morning. We'd go to the gym, and then
Yeah.
we'd go to the gym. We'd go to McDonald's, and then we go to work 12 hours in construction, or however long, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever the days consisted of. And
Yeah.
then we go back to the gym straight up.
Then
and
we
it
go
was just
back
like a
to the
cycle.
gym. It was a crazy cycle, and we were on that grind for like a straight year and a half. Then eventually I got a really good opportunity. I was like, I had all this money from working construction. I'm like, I need a new car. And so I went to a local car dealership, and I started talking with the sales guys. They're like, dude, you're very personable. You should come work here. You're gonna do great. I'm like, screw it. I'll give it a shot. Use my mind instead of my hands. And it was just coming into the winter months, and we were in Manitoba, and it gets stupid cold in Manitoba. And so I jumped on this car dealership opportunity, started selling, learned real quick that it was not for me. I crushed it. I was like the number 2 guy there on my second month, sold, I think it was like 16, 17 cars, and made a good chunk of money. And then I was like, Nick, you gotta leave your job and come work with me over here, dude. There's some good money to be made in the car dealership. And Nick was like, yeah, I'll take an opportunity, and jumped on it. And what did you start doing then, Nick? You started doing videos for free.
I did not work there by any means. I went over there, and I think I had a conversation with the GM of the dealership, and I was working construction. I was like, hey, I think I could film videos of every car that comes in. So every used vehicle,
Yeah.
every new vehicle, I would film. And so that was what I did, was I filmed a ton of cars. And I remember I was working construction, and I got a call, and they were like, hey, we'd love for you to come and shoot these car videos. I was like, okay. And they literally put me on minimum wage. I made no money. In fact, I was recording the cars, and then I was like, look, I want to make more money and do sales. And so I got the opportunity. The only problem was that I still had to record the cars, and it took me hours to record the cars because, dealerships pump cars in and out of the dealership. And so I was filming every single one of them, and it took a lot of time, energy, and effort. And for the skill of filming the cars, editing the videos, putting in the music, like it does take some skill to do that. And so honestly, I didn't so much like that. And so, but in that time, literally Seth was like, hey, dude, because we were talking about our marketing agency the whole time.
We were still learning in the background.
We were learning in the background. And, me and Seth would go walk the parking lot, right? And he'd be like, dude, we got to quit. Like, and I was like, dude, and I had a bunch of money saved up, but he was like, man, I was like, I don't know what I need, but he was like, dude, let's just quit and do it. And, it was probably like 2 weeks of Seth just in my ear, like, dude, let's quit. And, and then finally we both walked into our boss's office and told him our game plan
together.
And together.
We walked
and he was really great
together.
about it. Yeah, he was great. He was like, dude, that's awesome. You're young, take the risk. He's like, support you. And we're like, okay, yeah. So what's next? And he was like, well, if you could please just finish the day, that would be great. So it was one of the most weird days ever for me, because we did that right in the morning. You remember, Seth, at like 11, yeah. We stayed there till like 5, and I was just sitting at my desk, like, do I make phone calls still, or do I send emails, or do I I was like packed all my stuff up. And, that's when I finally realized, like, dude, they're just controlling my time. And what I mean by that is, like, why would I sit at a desk for 5 hours with no purpose other than because I'm getting paid by the hour? Especially, it was a minimum wage hour. So like, but see, that's how they try to control you right there. And that's one thing I really don't like is,
I get you, man. Where did we go from there? So we quit our jobs, and then we were like, let's invest in this program. And it was called Vendesta. And I don't know, maybe they've bettered themselves now. I don't want to talk bad about them. But
no, they basically sucked. They sucked in 2020. That's for sure. They should.
I know we invested. I think it was, how much was it? $3,000 each, right?
It was like maybe
$3,000 each. I don't think it was quite that much.
$7,000
or $7,000. Anyway, we both put $3,500 into this program, and basically you pay Vendesta and they give you all the tools to start a marketing agency. They give you the training, they give you the team, they give you everything that you need to be successful with an agency. Well, with that $7,000 that we paid them, they gave us 6 free websites to sell at any price that we wanted to sell them at. They weren't necessarily free because we just paid them $7,000. But what we did then was like, me and Nick were like, hey, we're free. What the heck do we do now? We've never started a business. We've never done any of this. I don't know where should we go and what should we do? We had no game plan. We had nothing set up, and this would freak most people out. But I felt so free in that moment. I don't know about you, Nick, but it was like terrifying, but like so much opportunity in front of us. And so we started door knocking, and we started just basically phoning local companies and setting up meetings and giving them free videos just to get in front of the business owner. And honestly, like it was like 30% of guys 30% of the time we wouldn't even get in front of the business owner. We were just doing a free video for companies like all over Manitoba. And Nick was the video guy. He was passionate about that. He was really great at like shooting the videos and talking to people. Actually, I would say I was more talking to the business owner. You were shooting the video and we were like double teaming it. And I mean, we gave away really cheap websites. I remember the first website.
Yeah, our first website, it was
Rogers like Custom Contracting.
It was $7,000.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was $7,000, but it was 1,000. It was 1,000. We sold the first website for like $600. Which was like,
what did we start at?
Yeah.
When we went in there, I was like, dude, the website's going to be $2,500.
Yeah, literally. And he brought us down to $650. Like we literally lost money on our first deal. Like it brought money in. It was $650, but we had spent $7 and we weren't going to break even with the amount that we sold that for. And exactly. And then every customer we sold, essentially, I mean, it was like 2 bridal studios in Brandon. And all the websites got done, but the Vendesta team, they took like 4 or 5 days, a week, 2 weeks just to answer. Yeah.
That was terrible. It gave us a terrible reputation for the website portion. And it didn't get better that fast. Like we had to go through so many trials and tribulations and failures and like pissing people off. And they're like, why is my website taking so long? This looks terrible. I didn't get what I asked for. And we just kept trying to like make it right. Okay, how can we do this better? How can we craft this so that the next person is happy? And it was like, dude, it just kept feeling like we were getting kicked in the nuts. And then we got a little bit better and better each time. And we started cold calling and reaching more people and door knocking and reaching more people and doing more videos. And then we got our first co-working office, if you remember that, Nick. And we worked out of the co-works office. I think they shut down now. And we started hiring people like way too quick. That was one thing that we messed up on, is we were just bringing anybody into the company that wanted to work with us, even if they didn't have skills. It was terrible. We brought in so many people that should not have worked for us and paying them way too much money. And we had no idea what we were doing at that point. It's so funny to look back on now, because it's like, these guys are so stupid. I don't know how anybody bought from us back then, just because we didn't know anything. Compared to now,
we were just learning. We were just like everything we were doing was we were learning on the fly, and we were selling websites, but we didn't know how to build them. So that's why we had paid Vendesta to build them, and so we kept just like picking away and just learning and growing and learning and growing and developing so then we stopped. We hired a bunch of salespeople, and we actually hired a bunch of salespeople in that co-working office, and then we decided it was a smart idea to get an office building lease,
like our own building.
Yeah, and we didn't even have a recurring revenue that we were operating with, not at all. In the beginning days. So we got the office building, and then we hired an employee in there, again, because we didn't know how to build the websites ourselves at the time. We hired somebody locally from the college, and they came to work with us. And it was really good in the beginning, but that's kind of where I feel like a lot of growth and failures happened. If you want to expand on like what some of those failures look like in the early days, from hiring our first person there, getting the building, to you know, everything from getting hundreds of clients, you know, fulfilling hundreds of deals. But then also, I want you to talk about like how putting that much advertising into the marketplace and becoming known can, you know, and how it actually affected us in the local community for a minute there, and like how we
Yeah.
pivoted. Like I would love to go over that part, because that's what built us from where we were to where we are now. You know,
Yeah.
everything from learning how to build the websites, run the ads ourselves, everything that we do, we know how to do ourselves. And that's how that's how we've scaled our business now, because we know the ins and outs. So yeah, let's
Well,
talk a little bit
let's
about the.
let's unpack. So when we first hired employees, it was a one interview, not a whole lot of questions asked. Can you start tomorrow? No signed contract, no employee agreement, no HR policies, nothing in place. It was like, hey, you do websites. Do you want to come work for us on an hourly basis? We'll start you at whatever it was, $25 an hour or whatever. I don't even remember what we paid them.
It was like
And
$21 an hour.
21 bucks an hour, whatever. That's pretty
Yeah.
dang good for, an entry level website developer. If you ask me, that's somebody that's 19 that doesn't
Yeah,
really know what they're doing either.
that's
Um,
true.
and so hire them. They start working for us and nothing gets done. Or at least in our eyes, maybe they're working on things, but they're doing way too much on one project, and things aren't getting to the 100% completion mark. And so websites are taking too long. Clients are getting angry. Okay, we need to hire more employees to speed things up. Things still aren't getting done. Let's hire more employees. Oh, let's start selling this service and hire this person. And next thing you know, we have a 1,800 square foot office filled with employees that are not being managed properly. And our payroll all of a sudden goes from just me, Ben, and Nick to holy crap, our biweekly like, what do you call it, payroll is $30,000 biweekly. Plus, we need to set aside money for taxes and all this other stuff.
And
And it's
this
like,
was all this
holy
was all
crap! Like,
one-time payments. We didn't have any
yeah,
reoccurring revenue at all.
that was the worst thing we ever did. Every client was on a one-time payment structure. So we'd sell a website for one time for $4,000 or $5,000 or $2,000, whatever it was, and it'd be one time. And then all of a sudden, our employees are working on this, working on this, working on this. It exceeds the amount that we charge the client, and it's like, dude, the website's not done. They've spent more time on this than the client paid us, and we still need to make profit on this somehow to pay ourselves and pay the building and pay for the software and pay for all this. And it's like, frick, we got to sell more. And so then we sell more, sell more, sell more, sell more. And we got our like monthly revenue up to like $100,000, but our expenses were $110,000. Like, what do you, what do you do in that situation? And it's like, the more we make, the more we spend. But we didn't know how to budget. We didn't know how to manage our employees. We didn't know any of this stuff. We were learning, and yeah, it was not good at the start. That was like our second year in business. How long have we been in business now? Like 5 years or something, I believe. And that was, you know what? I feel bad for how we operated back then, but we were learning. And you know what? Things happened, and ended up we went bankrupt. Well, not technically bankrupt, but we shut down our company because our expenses were way higher than what we were bringing in monthly. And so it's like, okay, guys, we got to shut the door. If we keep operating like this, we're just going to pile up and pile up and pile up debt, and it's going to drive us actually to bankruptcy, and we're going to like screw up our lives if we continue with this. We need to shut down. And so that day that we decided, we got rid of our office, we got rid of our employees. And the biggest thing that we ever learned from that is that you need to be able to manage your employees. If you don't know how to manage your employees, you need to go and learn how to do that. Because if you don't know what your employees are doing, you will be taken advantage of, which is exactly what happened to us. And you need to be very good at managing your money. Because if you don't manage your money will manage you. And you don't want your money to manage you at all, because that is not going to work out well. So that's the biggest takeaways that I could really give you is understand how to lead your team to get the desired outcome. Also, make sure that you're bringing in the right people. If you bring in the wrong people, that will be devastating to your company. One wrong hire is just probably one of the worst things that can happen to your company is bringing in the wrong person, because now your culture's messed up, now your profit's messed up, and your timelines are messed up. Your customers are now not going to be happy, all from bringing in the wrong people. So bring in the right people, know how to manage your money, because you don't want to get into a situation like we were in where you're spending you're making 100 grand, but you're spending 110. You're just going backwards. And you know what? If we would have been making 200, we would have been spending 220. That's just how it was, because we didn't know how to manage our money. Nick, would you agree with that?
Yeah. And then really after all that happened, what we did was we canceled, we got rid of
We got
all
rid
our
of everything.
people.
We
We got rid of
completely shut
everything.
down.
So we
We had
completely
to.
shut the business down completely. We dissolved the company. We got rid of the bank accounts. We literally ended it completely. And at that time, we actually got third party. We got money from a third party just so we could pay back our debts in the business. And then we kind of parted ways for a minute. We always were, the whole time, we were like, this isn't the end of marketing for us, but
No.
we needed to pay back a third party. And then so what we did was Seth, he went
We
and
all
worked
went
for
and got
another
jobs.
marketing agency. Yeah, we all went and got other
Yeah.
jobs. Seth, he went and worked at a marketing agency, and I went and worked at a place called CFIB, and I went and door knocked literally like 1,000 companies. And Seth continued to involve himself in the marketing agency space.
Yeah.
And then through that journey, as soon as the respective people were paid back, we went directly into marketing. And you're probably going to say,
Yeah.
like, hey, how did you come up with the name Jump Marketing? Well, one
We
day we
decided in
jumped on
5
the phone
minutes.
and we were like, hey, we need to come up with a name. And we're like, Jump Marketing. And we're like, oh, one M is taken legally. And we're like, okay, let's use two. And that's what we did.
Yeah. So also to tie in a little bit, because I feel like this part is a little bit important. When we ended and I got a new opportunity with another marketing agency, this also allowed me to relocate to Kelowna. I needed to get out of Brandon because there was just so much going on. We had all these local clients that were like, they were upset with how everything was going. And it was like, we need to basically get a new start. And I started phoning like marketing agencies. I was like, I need more information on how to do this properly. And so I cold called this one agency here in Kelowna, and they had the perfect opportunity where they needed somebody to come in and do the sales, and they needed somebody with agency experience. And I'm like, dude, that's literally me. That's exactly what I do. So they're like, get out here as soon as you can. Literally started like 2 weeks later, moved across the country, started this new position. And then I got to see the inside of a marketing agency that had been operating for over 10 years and see the structure and how they operate and what they were doing differently and how were they still going and profitable. And they were pretty stagnant, but when I came in there, I was able to help them get a lot more clients. But when I walked in there, like, it was like, how are you guys like still going and like, operating after 10 years, and how are all these customers like happy and like everything's getting done really easy? And you guys only have like 4 people in this office, or 4 other people in this office. And the key to it was managing your expenses, like I mentioned, and then also reoccurring income. And this was like reoccurring. Okay, we need to limit the softwares. You don't need a bunch of crazy softwares. That was the other thing. I was like, these guys run with maybe $4,000 worth of software expenses a month. Like, this is insane. Like, how are they doing that? Our agency at one point was bigger than I would say theirs was, but we had expenses that were 5 times more, 10 times more than where they were at. So limiting the expenses, managing your expenses is key. And then also having key members, like their employees were extremely effective at what they did. They were really good at what they did. They had strong SOPs. Everybody knew what they were supposed to do every day. Things were getting done. And then also the reoccurring income. They were charging all their customers hosting every month. They had ads that were being charged. They were charging a lot more than I thought, you should be charging at that point. Now I look at that pricing. I think it's like, oh, we need to do even more than that. They're not charging enough is what I look at now. That back then I was like, what? You could charge this much for this stuff? And then we got into that. I did that for like 6 months. And I was like, Nick, I can't work for other people anymore, dude. Like, I'm making these guys way too much money. We got to start this again and just give it another shot. And we're going to do it right this time. And then we did it. We just started it, ended up leaving that company. Nick left his company. It was a little bit slow off the start, but we built it properly, brick by brick by brick by brick. And it was just so much better this time. We limited our expenses. We bootstrapped. Like, we've been so, what is the word I'm looking for? We've been very conservative with what we spend now because we understand the other side of it.
I wouldn't say we're conservative. I would say we
did a little bit.
I wouldn't say so. I would say that we didn't make the same mistakes that we did last time, but I would still say we have an all-in mentality. We're managing finances better. Everything in that regard is better. But when you look at the actions that we take, we're still definitely, throwing a lot, like everything on the line. We're reinvesting every dollar back in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I forgot to even mention too, with our first company too, we were paying ourselves. Like, there was months that we went, actually almost a full year we went without paying ourselves $1. Like, it was actually insane. I don't know how we lived. Like, it was so bad. We're making all this money, you can't pay yourselves $1. Like, there's an issue there. And so now we realize you got to pay yourself first. Even if it's a little bit, you got to pay yourself enough to live. Because if you as the owner can't live, then the company can't live. And if the company can't live, everything's going to break. So you got to pay yourself first. That's another key thing you'll hear within business is if you have $10,000, your expenses are, $2,000 a month, and you have an invoice that's, $10,000 that you're like, dang, I need to pay this. You pay yourself first. That invoice will still be there when you get the money. And maybe you're not going to agree with that, but that's how I see it should be, because you create the income. And if you can't survive, you can't go and make more money to pay that invoice and grow the company. It's that simple. So pay yourself first. That's another really key thing that I think we learned along the way.
Yep. And I guess the next thing that would be cool. One thing I want to go into is like, first I want to go into like how we overcame that. Like, the best way to overcame that was just by doubling down on everything that we knew and implementing
content.
It. Like, most people, the content, but everything else as well. Like, I think what most people wouldn't understand is, like, I work with lots of people will reach out to us and be like, hey, I'm trying to start this company, don't have any money, don't really know what I'm doing, but I know how to, let's say, clean. They want to start a cleaning business. And so there's a company I was working with specifically, and I said to them, hey, like, if you don't have any money, you got to open the Better Business Bureau and start making phone calls. And that is the best way that you can grow any business, whether it's construction, marketing company, cleaning company, a plumbing company, is open the phone book and start making the calls. As an example, if you're an HVAC person and you do HVAC work, so heating and work like that. So essentially the best thing you could do is phone all the home builders in your city and then ask them, hey, who are you using for your HVAC? And if they say, oh, I'm using this person, then you could be like, great, would you consider using me? I have a new company in the city. And you'd be surprised how fast you can grow your company just doing that. Because if you don't have the money, you have the time to go and make the money. Yeah. But if you have the money, then you're buying back your time. And so knowing that is very important, because a lot of people overthink what it takes to start, when, matter of fact, you don't even need to have a business number in your first 30,000 of revenue. So until you make your first dollar, there's no point in complicating any of the process.
That's true. I would agree with that. And I think we also skipped over a very crucial lesson that we also learned along the way. And that was being able to do everything that we sell as owners. And so we took a lot of time to learn how to do everything that we sell. So if we had to, if our whole team just quit tomorrow, we could still fulfill everything that we've sold ourselves. I know how to do the SEO. I know how to build the websites. I know how to do the Facebook ads. Nick knows how to do the Google ads. Nick knows how to do the, the go high level setup. And it just like, we know how to do everything that we're selling now. And this makes us better managers because we can now not be taken advantage of by our employees by them saying that things should take this long, things should be done this way. We're like, no, no, no. I know how to do this. It should take 20 minutes and it should be done like this. And if you don't do it that way, you're doing it wrong. And that shows me that you're not an expert. I'm going to go hire somebody else that knows how to do better. And that right there was a massive mind-blowing lesson that we learned, was taking the time to learn these things that we're selling. Because before, we were completely reliant on our employees. If they didn't show up to work, things didn't get done. We only know how to do the sales. We're really good at the sales, but I didn't know how to build a website back then. Nick didn't know how to build a website back then. I didn't know how to do SEO. I didn't know how to do any of it. You know what I mean? And so now we know how to do everything personally that we sell so that you can become a better manager. I highly suggest that you do that as well. That was a very, very crucial lesson.
I like that. Absolutely. So I guess, to kind of summarize, it's like through that first company that we built a lot of resilience.
Yep.
We learned a lot. We struggled a lot. We like powered up a lot. That just built us. It improved our character, if that makes sense. Literally got stronger mentally and physically because of that. And so that was really, really important to go through that. Whenever I tell people that, I tell them that was our $1.8 million college tuition, because we generated that money and spent that money. And that was an education in and of itself. So
that's true.
Let's talk a little bit about personal development, because that's everything we're talking about wouldn't be possible without the personal development. Everything, even from the beginning, because we had access to courses, YouTube, we subscribed to mentors, sales training, you name it.
We've spent easily, I would say, between $400,000 and $500,000 in the last 5 years just on education and personal development. I think it's huge. If you're not seeking to become better every single day, you will become stagnant. And when you're stagnant, you're slowly dying. And you don't want to be slowly dying. So you want to be slowly improving or greatly improving. And how you can do that is by literally just setting aside 10 minutes a day to learning what you do and how you can do it better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Every day is the key. 1% better every day.
Nick says it every single day. If you can become 1% better every day, it will compound and you will be 37 times better after the year. Now, I didn't believe that. I was like, wait, shouldn't that be like 3.6 times better after the year? But no, it compounds. And over the time, it's literally 37 times better after a year. So definitely be seeking to improve yourself, and also take the student's mindset. And what I mean by the student's mindset is, as soon as you think you have it all figured out, that is the start of the end for you, sir or ma'am. If you think you got it all figured out and that you can't improve anymore, you should just, that's when you start to die. You have to have it in your mind that you can learn more and more and more and get better and better and better, and that you never know everything, because you'll truly never know everything. Everything's always changing. Even if it's within the construction industry, you can be completely caught up with the trends, but you can still learn how to do things better. You can learn how to craft your day to be better. You can learn how to manage your people better. You can learn how to manage your expenses better. There's so many things that you can improve upon, and never think that you have it all figured out, because you never do. It's always 1% better a day.
1%. Absolutely. The day you think you don't need to is the day you lose, I would say. So I guess kind of transitioning from the self-improvement, this is just like mandatory. You have to be grinding out self-improvement if you want to grow in any capacity, because if you think of yourself as an asset, you need to like take care of that asset and invest in that asset. So your
Mm.
asset can actually be worth more. And you yourself are the
Or the
asset,
biggest asset.
or the
Yep.
biggest
You're the
asset
biggest
in your
asset.
life. So, yeah. And so I want to move to the future goals and vision. So, in the last
Mm.
3, 4 months, in the last 6 months to a year, we've transitioned. We've niched down. We have hired coaches and mentors. And for the first time ever, we're evolving as a company that we've never seen before. We're more stable than we've ever been before. We have a better team that we've ever had before.
Yep.
We we have the skill, the people, the resources, the money to get done what we need to get done. And what our mission is in the next years and coming years, maybe we can even just have a conversation about this, Seth. But
Sure.
since we niche down to home builders, that's one of the goals that we had 3, 4 months ago, and now we've niched down to home builders and construction companies. And so
It's been
my
huge.
vision for the next few years and coming years is I would like to work with 1,000 home builders all at the same
Hmm.
time. And working with 1,000 home builders, I would like to make the impact and be the cause and reaction of, let's say building 10,000 homes in a year, or, that's the
Hmm.
1,000 companies build 10 homes each, that's 10,000 homes. And so that I got that math right. Yeah. Yeah, I do.
You do.
Okay. So we built that many homes. So because of the marketing efforts we do for the companies, could me and you, Seth, be the reason why we build 10,000 homes a year, 50,000 homes a year? We do 80,000 renovations per year based on
Yep.
us advertising the company's name and getting the residential buyer in touch with the company, doing that repeat over and over and over and over again, and becoming the number one lead generator in the construction space, and keeping it ethical, giving the construction companies a great deal. So it's a good offer for them and it's good for us. It's enough for us to be stable and it's good enough for them to make a ton of money. And so if we can rinse and repeat that process, because one thing that's for sure is that in North America, we have a housing shortage supply. So they need to build
Massive.
more houses and they need to build more multifamily buildings. And who's going to build those buildings? Home builders,
Our
contractors,
clients.
electricians, our clients are going to be building these buildings. And so we are going to absolutely disrupt the home building construction space over the next
Yep.
10, 20, 30, 40 years, because 99.9% of construction companies are antiquated. They do great work, but they don't have the technology implemented in their business yet, which creates a ton of inefficiencies. So by implementing these systems, we'll be able to revolutionize all these companies and actually make it accessible by offering the services at a convenient price for them that still makes sense for us, but where we can generate the results quickly at a really good price. And I
Hmm.
truly believe that by building I always have the saying, relationships are more important than the money. Why? Because, as an example, like any price is not that much compared to the value of the relationship. And so,
Hmm.
what I mean by that is, like, if I built a relationship with somebody, marketed their business, and sold 2 homes for them, and did that in a month. Okay, relationship's over. How much value did I give them? 2 homes. Okay, well, why not do that for 30 years and sell 350 homes? You know what I mean? So
I know
by
exactly what
really
you're saying.
increasing the graph.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I'm excited for the future. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I'd say I'm very excited for the future. And, Chris Rodriguez, one of our, I would say, mentors, she once said that you are one joint venture away from a seven-figure company. And that really stuck with me. And so what I seeked out to do in the last, or sought out to do is the correct term or the correct grammar, but what I sought out to do after I heard that advice and it really stuck with me was we need to create more joint ventures. And I think this is also what has really changed our trajectory. Specifically in the last 6 months, everything has changed because of our new joint ventures with companies. Specifically, most recently, the one that we have in Inc. with JobTread, one of the largest project management softwares within the home building space and the construction space. It's a huge joint venture for us. Now, also, we're working on another one with a construction coach and all these other ones that we've built out, with Search Atlas and with all these other companies. And we're going to continue to get more and more and more and more and more. All of these will boost us up because we can add value to these companies. They're going to add value to us. It's not a give and expect to receive. It's a give and give and give and give game and not expect to receive anything. It's about making other people's lives better. And in turn, that will come back to you. You can't really expect it, but it will. That's just what happens. You need to give without the expectation of receiving anything back. I think that alone has been huge for us. And we do the same thing with our clients in a way. Like, we just give them so much value. Our prices are way less than everybody else's. Like, seriously, like we're actually priced so low that any builder or construction company can come in and try us out and not feel like they're getting ripped off. Other agencies, their pricing starts at $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. Our lowest plan is $650 a month, and you can do it on a month-to-month basis and get a website that you keep. It comes with SEO, comes with Go High Level, CRM, comes with all of this stuff for $650. It's like a no-brainer, right? And
absolutely, but
we're able to help the most amount of people. Yeah,
that's exactly the most important thing, though, because it's a long-term game. Because
exactly, relationships.
If somebody signs up there and they only stay for if let's say they only stayed for 3 months, as a company, we would lose money. It hasn't happened yet. But here's my perspective on it, and I'm sure you agree, Seth. If we build somebody a website for $650 and onboard them onto Go High Level, essentially they have a website. After 30 days, they would have a fully built website. They'd have a Go High Level account, which is a CRM system, a posting platform, has a Calendly. It's like Calendly built in. It's got so many things built into there, all of it. So as an example, after 30 days, they can have all that set up. Their Google My Business. That's for $650. They've hardly even took any risk. Now we can do advertising. And so if we can generate them the job in that small period of time, they've spent less than $2,000. And if they spent less than $2,000 and generated a kitchen reno for $38,000, is that worth it? Absolutely, that's
sometimes
worth
even
it.
more, dude.
But here's
for a home builder,
even more. Exactly, more. It could be a new home sale. But here's the value: they don't have to take very much risk, and we put the work in on the back end, and then we want to over deliver. So we have a lot of value in the package. We deliver a lot of value, but yet you pay for that over time. And by the time you're like, man, you've gotten deals. And that's the best part. We're connecting the residential buyers to the companies. That's what we're doing. We're just making that connection because most companies don't have the technology or just don't know how to get in front of them correctly. So that's the point we're solving.
It's literally an offer that you'd feel stupid saying no to. As a construction company, everybody's trying to rip you off, and we just give you all the tools to be successful for a great, great, great price. And you get guys with experience. You get a team that cares about you and puts the relationship above the money, because it's not really about the money for us. It is about helping people. We used to be about the money. When we first started our first company, it was, of course, all about the money because we're young and hungry. We didn't know any better. And then you realize really quickly that, like, dang, dude, like I didn't feel good about that. Like, that guy didn't, he paid us. It took 3 months to get him the website. And then it's like, dude, I feel terrible. I don't want to do that again. But now when we sell this and we can provide value and get somebody's website off the ground within a few weeks, they get all this stuff. They start getting leads coming in. We're helping them nurture them. They're growing their business. It's such a great feeling because we're helping them. They're helping their clients, and everybody is feeling great. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's about those relationships.
The difference there is that, as an example, like you said, when it's about the money, that's what happened in our first company. It was all about the money, and it went under. But this one, as an example, it's been all about the relationships, and we have over 150 happy clients. So as an example, that is like a small switch, but it changed the whole game. Changed the whole game completely.
Yep. And also, I just love the packages that we offer. You know what I mean? It's everything that you need all in one. I'm not like I hated before. We would just sell a website And a guy would expect his whole business to be revolutionized by a website. It's not. It's not that easy. If we just build you the website, it's like building a beautiful mansion or a big, beautiful store, right? But if you build a big, beautiful store in the middle of the woods and there's no roads to get there, no signage to tell people to go there, your store is going to get no traffic. You're not going to sell nothing, right? But what we do is we build the big, beautiful store and we build the highway to it and we put signage on the roads to point you down that road to go to the big, beautiful store we built you. I hope that's, simplified enough for you to understand, but it's everything that you need to be successful. We'll turn the random stranger into a hot lead. We'll nurture that hot lead into a qualified appointment for you. And then you basically just hop in and sell them. It's that easy. It's not just the website. It's, we're going to run the Facebook ads for you. We're going to nurture them through Go High Level. And then all of a sudden they turn into a qualified appointment. You call them, close them. They're already at the 80% line. You walk them to that touchdown and then boom, you have a kitchen renovation. You have a new home sale. It's more than just a one-off service. We give all the tools to be successful from A to Z. I think it's great. I love what we do. I'm so happy to wake up in the morning. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it used to be dreadful and now I just spring out of bed. I love what I do. And I'm very excited for the future because I know how many people we're going to be able to help.
Absolutely. And make a massive impact. We could build 100,000
Exactly.
homes.
Absolutely. We can.
Yep.
And yeah, that's basically the story of Home Builder Marketers and Jump Marketing and Seth Van Dale and Nicholas Cormier. I'd say, yeah. What was like out of everything, Nick? I got to ask, what is the number one lesson that you learned along the way?
The number one lesson I learned along the way has been to keep getting 1% better. The day you start thinking you know everything is the day you lose. Because as an example, over the last 5 years, this is like crazy to think about, but biggest takeaway is that you never want to be the smartest guy in the room. You always want to be kind of right in the middle. Maybe you want to be the dumbest guy in the room so you can keep getting smarter. And what I've realized over time is that the biggest learning lesson is trust but verify, because a lot of business owners are very deceiving, and a lot of them, as an example, you have to understand the market. The marketplace is business is truly business, because there's really good people you can trust, and there's people who don't have your best interests. There's people who will be there to help you in your journey, and there's going to be people who are going to try to take it all away from you. And so you need to trust but verify with people, your friends. You need to be careful on what information you tell people, and 1% better every day is like the biggest learning lesson for me, because when I look back at the 5 years, the only reason we are here today is because getting 1% better every day. You look at all these books, these are only just a portion of them. But as an example, most people, they go to school, they graduate high school, maybe they graduate university, and they stop. But the problem is you need to keep learning, because that's how you truly get ahead. You don't get ahead by working harder and harder and harder. You get better by working hard, and getting smarter, and then implementing that information, and keep learning, getting smarter, and implementing, because that's how you actually make a difference. So that's been the biggest learning lesson for me. Trust but verify, and 1% better every day, and just work your ass off, and nobody will ever fail you.
I would agree with that. It's a great piece of advice.
Yeah. And I would say also that the fire has to come internally. The fire to want something.
Yeah, I would say I have two parts to mine. Very similar to the fire that you just mentioned. You need to know why. I'm sure you've probably heard of the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And I would recommend every entrepreneur reads that, because if you don't have a why, then it's really hard to have a what. And, being able to identify your why and why you wake up in the morning, why you want to grow this business, why you want to do what you do every single day, you need to really set that and then reflect on that every single day. You should look at that why every single day. And then my other piece of advice is that I just had it and then I lost it. Hold on, give me 1 second. I think it was a really good piece of advice, but it was, you need to be able to manage yourself, because if you can't manage yourself, you can't manage anybody else. Because really everything is everything. That's a lesson in its own. Everything is everything. Everything is connected. That's what we found. You know what? You have unpaid invoices that your customers aren't paying you. You most likely have something that's holding you back in another area of your life. Maybe it's a conversation
probably if the customers aren't
had.
Paying your invoices, you're probably not paying customers. You're not paying your
Exactly.
invoices. Yeah.
Things
It's
are
like a two-way
everything
street.
is connected. And it sounds weird and heebie-jeebie, but that's what we found, is that like if you can make sure everything is good in your life and you're doing all the right things, a lot of the time that will translate to your business too. And if things aren't going well in your personal life, if you're going out to the bar on the weekends and you're not healthy, maybe you're not taking care of yourself, you are the business. That means that your business is not going to be taking care of itself and your business is going to slowly die. So managing yourself first is so important. And that will, if you can manage yourself, that will in turn help you manage your business better, which will in turn help you grow. And it'll also help you manage other people better. So that would be my biggest piece of advice is that. I know we shared a lot within this podcast. There's a lot to unpack. If anybody has any more questions about what we talked about, or they want us to expand on any of what we've just shared with you, feel free to message myself on Instagram, Seth.Vandale, or message Nicholas Cormier on Instagram, or check out our Jump Marketing profile on Instagram, our Home Builder Marketers profile on Instagram. We're very active on there. We share a lot of really great content to help business owners. And yeah, our goal is to just, positively impact as many people as we can and build, 10,000 homes within the next 10 years. I think it's a very obtainable goal. And hopefully you can help us along this journey. Thanks for tuning into our episode. Nick, did you have anything else to share?
Yeah, I appreciate everybody for watching. Just like you said, to add on, we have the Instagram, but then you can also visit our website, jumpmarketing.com. You can visit our other home builder marketers, it's homebuildermarketers.com. So you can check those out. We're on every single platform, YouTube, X, TikTok. Literally post every single one every single day. I'm pumped to share that with you because we've been very consistent. All right, but that was my last 2 cents. Please don't hesitate to visit our websites, fill out the form, shoot us a call. If you just have questions or need some information, you just need some help, no question is a dumb one. We're happy to answer all of them, and appreciate everybody for watching this video. This concludes episode number 5, and we will see you in episode number 6.
Make sure to like and subscribe and also share this as well. Thank you.